love me if I
There was a
said not yet?
Of course. But I would also be extremely concerned.
As would I, my dear. As would I.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. You know, I think it's becoming very apparent to people that there is a real sickness that is spread throughout liberal society right now. The term I'd use to describe it is deranged apathy. It's this deep ideological conditioning that's affected a large number of people, making them almost completely unable to see evil, even though it stares them directly in the face. Or it's hard to say whether they see it or not, but they certainly don't seem to acknowledge that they have a certain level of apathy to the most heinous and horrific realities currently inflicting the Western world. A group of people that have been so thoroughly brainwashed that when uncomfortable truths emerge, or truths that contradict the narrative that they've internalized and bought into, in this case, reversibly believing our strength, when they're presented with the reality of their policies, their mind simply rejects it without even a thought, even to the extent where they mock it. Again, I'm calling it deranged apathy, and never has this been more obvious, the left-wing reaction that we're seeing in the UK to the latest report, what's being presented as the RAPE gang inquiry report. I gotta show you an absolutely disturbing clip, which I think will very clearly add some context to what I'm talking about here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so for those of you guys who aren't aware, this is Rupert Lowe. He's an MP, he's leader of the newest political party in the UK called Restore Britain. I'd describe the party as right-wing, nationalist, anti-immigration, pro-preservation, Western, in this case, United Kingdom values and traditions. Well, basically, Rupert Lowe just released the RAPE gang inquiry report, which highlights the horrific crimes committed by these grooming gangs. Of course, we've been following that scandal, and that's bad enough. We're talking girls that were set on fire, drugged and abused in the most horrific manner. Some of them were even killed, and as we understand it, 87 to 95% of the individuals involved in these roaming gangs were of Pakistani origin, Muslim men, basically roaming the country, targeting young British girls. But what is truly remarkably evil in the report, we're not going to go through every single instance because it's a massive report, but I'll put some of the most concerning moments here on the screen. You can pause the video and read as you like. Essentially, we have all of these little anecdotes where these girls were showing up to relevant authorities, and the system was totally abandoning them because they didn't want to make this a whole ordeal. They didn't want to acknowledge what was happening because they were concerned on how it would reflect on the migrant community. I guess concerned that it would potentially embolden nationalistic forces, which obviously I think at this point we learned not exactly a genie that you could keep in the bottle. It's almost as if child welfare services were functioning as a pipeline and handing these vulnerable, innocent British girls over to these grown Pakistani men to be trafficked. This is like the Epstein files on frickin' crack. And now the question is, well, what's the leftist reaction? And here is where it all comes full circle, and also the point that I was referencing in the intro, deranged apathy.
The gang inquiry report is out. And I'm gonna try not to laugh because it feels mean. I haven't read the whole thing. It's 219 pages. It's only just come out a couple of hours ago.
To find the magic in this world.
Mockery, attempting to shrug it off as if it's no big deal, nothing to be concerned about. It's just a bunch of crazed right-wing conspiracy theorists engaging in anti-immigration propaganda. Absolutely freaking disgusting. And this girl in her little fake forced laughter, she's not laughing because the content of what is being presented here is funny. No, obviously not. To be honest, I don't even think she read it. She self-admitted she didn't read it. But no, it's almost like a gut instinct, an instant reaction. She's laughing because her brain has been trained to shut down the moment something threatens the narrative that she has been force-fed, the narrative that she is likely force-feeding others. We're talking the most horrific crimes imaginable against the most vulnerable among us. And this went on for years while police and social services looked the other way out of fear of being called racist. And the smug liberals have the nerve to laugh it off like it's some sort of joke. In a way, it feels oddly connected, right? Just as the social welfare groups and police officers shrugged it off, pretended it wasn't happening, or acted as if it was just a massive conspiracy theory to immediately disregard. Well, now following the report, it's the same reaction, actively defending and minimizing the worst atrocities that happened in history. All because the ideology here won't let these people face the truth. It's nothing but mental gymnastics to avoid having to acknowledge the harm that was actually done. You know, here's another moment on Piers Morgan's show that I think speaks to it perfectly.
250,000 of your women are being
by Muslim, but it's okay.
Again,
it's fine.
utterly ridiculous statement.
Birmingham, go to
Utterly
Manchester.
ridiculous statement.
Go to Hull.
As I've said repeatedly, the vast majority of sexual crime against women in the UK.
Lord Malcolm Pearson in Parliament.
Don Keith, the vast majority of sexual crime against women in my country is committed by white men.
Oh, here we go. You've never heard of per capita?
I have heard of per capita.
Disproportionately, it's disproportionately committed by Muslims against white Christian conservatives.
You see this all the time, right? Instead of actually acknowledging the reality, just pretend you don't actually understand per capita statistics. Oh, we have less than 5% of the population committing a disproportionate amount of this crime and doing so in systemic and organized fashion, targeting young people. Oh, well, you know, the majority of these types of crimes and mostly isolated situations are happening from the native population. Therefore, anything but admitting the reality of what is happening and likely what continues to happen. And if you're not engaging in mental gymnastics and denial and misrepresentation of statistics, well then of course just label the person sounding the alarm, the whistleblower, as a wacky, kooky racist.
Why are you doing this? Why are you just trying to talk about Pakistani grooming gangs when there are 4 times, 8 times and 10 times as many white grooming gang suspects?
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslim working class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is
an
appalling issue with grooming
Are you
when it
telling me-
hits
No, no.
any community and any age.
Are you
We
telling
only
me?
ever
Are
hear
you
you talk
telling me
about
there's no issue?
Pakistani
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
I am concentrating on it because it's a blot on our national history.
Just disregard the most evil atrocities and do so for petty political partisan reasons. Why engage in a world of reality when you could basically scoff at with your elitist snarky tone, brush the whole report off as something only a bunch of racist right-wingers would believe because they're racist and uneducated? We see this phenomenon all the time. I have a perfect clip actually. This is a little bit of a different context of conversation, but it's still the same arrogant, smug BS that they apply to all kinds of issues, especially relating to immigration or any criticisms and critiques of immigration policy and its effects.
Is that the idea of blaming our housing crisis on immigration?
You've come here to nitpick at the most silliest things. Women have been groomed, men have been stabbed, and then you come here to talk to me about the English flag and British flag. This is absolutely irrelevant.
If you have a vendetta against Tommy Robinson, the last time he was on your show, he gave you a shellacking.
No, he didn't.
250,000 of your women are being by Muslim, but it's okay. It's a religiously motivated jihad against Christians. You don't find the white man picking Muslim girls.
This bigot makes up this fantasy he has in his head about Muslims and white women because he wants to women and he thinks that's a fun thing to do.
He's given no indication he wants to any women, right? So I think that's an outrageous thing to say.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In the light of the rape gang inquiry done by Rupert Lowe this week, we have got a very special video for you here today. We have got Piers Morgan and Cenk Uygur both getting taken to task and absolutely humiliated in one defense.
In a world
Piers gets
consumed
slapped
30
around
seconds
and
before you
triggered,
attack.
and Cenk
Get
Uygur
ready.
has his usual meltdown.
We thought you were a goner after the vampire.
I will bring
And
peace
so
to
for
this
Piers,
universe. No matter the cost.
I may be devoured by chaos.
Face and Bougie is your...
Bring us the name that I
Gosh, so you talked about me during this event. Let's have a look.
You'll see
battle
people in
starts in
solitary
5,
confinement for difference
4,
of opinion,
3,
and now you're seeing
2,
people like the likes
1.
of Piers Morgan.
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
Far
Got
right
it?
for being patriotic. Well, I have a question for Piers Morgan. If this is a far-right racist extremist event, then what the am I doing here?
Relay deployed. It ain't cheap.
The establishment, Piers Morgan, Keir Starmer need to learn that us patriots
Enemy in
are this
front of us.
country's last hope.
Don't mind me.
And rather than waking up to this stuff, they'll rather sit there and believe when and where the nation of people is black. Let me make something very clear. And seeing the union jack makes you trust, respectfully, pack your bag and get lost.
Turn around. I'll catch you.
Support the country you live in, or live in the country you support.
Obviously, I fully respect your rights to speech. What do you think What is whose flag is it?
British flag. British flag.
You said English.
English flag. English flag is British flag.
Why did you say English flag?
You need to teach me. No, I'm just saying that.
Union Jack, obviously.
I know the difference between the two, but what are we discussing?
What is English flag?
It's this flag with the red cap.
But that wasn't the one behind you.
Okay, congratulations. There's millions of people. You get a little bit nervous.
Yeah, but Cynthia,
Millions of people.
if you're going to start haranguing people like me for not understanding what it means to be English, it would help if you understood what the English flag actually is.
I'll patch you up.
Do you want to apologise?
No, I'm not going to apologise because I was under pressure. It was a crowd full of millions of people, even though you tried to downplay
Millions of people. 50,000 people.
Feeling stronger
Police.
already.
The police said there was 1.2 million.
No, the police said 50,000.
Okay, even if it was 1.2.
Why are
even if
you
it was-
hiding it? That's the number of people.
That's what I saw.
Police have confirmed that there were 50,000 people.
He tries to go for a little gesture and then fails correctly identifies the British English flag. Bad luck here. But keep watching because here now looks like a connection, which is really figured out. This is actually quite a funny thing. The reason why he was the reason why he was trying to learn Tommy Robinson is because he has a personal vendetta against Tommy. He hates Tommy because he was just and slapped his and to this day, Tommy continues and now this Tommy for herself based on Bruce has caught the eye. Before we see how the rest of the play out, we need to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Black Forest. After 40, your bone marrow drops 10 times by around 75%. You literally stop repairing yourself. But there's a compound in cocoa that signals for your bone marrow to wake itself back up. The military studied this for battlefield recovery, and soldiers healed twice as fast. And Black Forest high flavanol cocoa is made in the US.
I have made my share of mistakes, but I am fighting every day to make amends.
If there's one thing that's been disappointing when it comes to Sony, it's
30
how they are
seconds before you
feeling
attack.
increasingly
Get
obsessed
ready.
with moving away from the legacies that built their brand in the first place. Before they made
I have a
games about
question.
characters people
Squirrel
actually
Girl
wanted to
can talk to
play
squirrels.
as, but now
Ant-Man
they're
can
really just
control
telling a
ants.
different
How
story,
come
and
I
the
can't
media is
control
now out in full
spiders?
force to
Would you
protect
want
this
to?
Laufey game. And the backlash has gotten even worse. As
bet there are a
IGN's
million
article
spiders
defending the
in
game,
games.
God of War
I can
Laufey
command
is
them all.
taking the sort of risk
Is
more
a
PlayStation
terrible
series
idea.
need to take. Right away, this
battle
also feels
starts in
disingenuous because what
5,
risk is it exactly?
3,
If anything,
2,
all Sony has been doing
1.
is taking franchises that people
All you
love
need to do
and
is
swapping
capture
out
the
the
mission
heroes
area.
for heroines
Got
for
it?
the better part of a decade now. If anything,
Might not have been
Laufey is
anyone.
exactly what Sony has been doing for a long time now. There's nothing really daring about it. Every series Sony does now has undergone the same transformation. And this is apparently where the game wants to point their flag. IGN, despite trying to fight against the believes themselves that Sony just keeps telling the same sort of stories and admitted everything here. Sony's first-party games increasingly feel unnecessary fun. Overall experiences from their sequels rarely diverge from the formula set up before, just feeling almost like full-length expansion rather than new iterations. Yeah, you pretty much just explained
Someone clip this!
Admitted, which is kind of weird, honestly, that after seeing Laufey, he doesn't believe previous gamers for like anyone. Here's what David Jaffe said, though, so watch this.
That did the trick.
What is God of War? So, but as it relates to this, I think
believe it. Mission area is
I mean, I think it's. I don't think it's sell what they need it to sell, assuming it is expensive. I don't know if it's expensive. But assuming it's expensive,
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with that? I need the backstory. You know, I wanted to do something else. Promise to keep making the IP. I'm making it. They came down and disappointed and said, no, we gotta play it safe. Money's tight, whatever. And look, love him or hate him, the guy did make God of War. He did create Kratos, and he's looking objectively at what Sony is doing with Lao Fei over Kratos, and he's worried that this could not go well for them. Sony Santa Monica, they haven't had layoffs in a long time, if ever. I'm not saying that Lao Fei will flop, but do I think it will sell better than God of War 2018 or Ragnarok? No, I don't. It's also going to only be a PS5 exclusive, like the previous installments. And now that Sony has pivoted from PC releases, this means that Lao Fei's eventually will therefore see Someone clip! I don't think the game will be terribly, it might be fine, but that's the key here. Fine. It makes it incredible. And maybe now that Sony really wants from their games that are also taking entire generations to be created and pushed out the door these days. Jonathan Blow, that's an indie developer made a very interesting comment which suspiciously coincided with the reveal of Lao Fei, where he said this on Twitter. Games take so long to make now, sometimes you can tell the major creative decisions were made 5 years ago. And that's really what Lao Fei feels like to me, and to many others too, right? The problem here is not only the direction, but that these games, they do take forever now to come out. And Lao Fei was very likely green-lighted well before people really started to push back against Sony turning everything into a futurist female approach like Star Wars did. I mean, for God's sakes, Lao Fei even has the same purple pink magic aesthetic that like every other game in the early 2020s had already. Veilguard, even Saints Row Remake is purple, Flintlock to see the Dawn, the list goes on. These games have had this weird, I don't even know how to say it, but similar art feel to it. Like every game developer unified in some secret meeting to say everybody start making the game's aesthetic and the magic, particle effects, all look purple and pink going forward. It is odd, it just is that they're all doing it. Even the way Lao Fei is stylized on the traditional art, it's in that same similar purple-like design. Like it's indistinguishable from Veilguard. It's pretty obvious that Sony Santa Monica saw that pivot from the games industry in the 2020s when everything was going in the same direction. You know what I mean? Progressive, comment-led, data-controlled. And this was where games like this were being made and then pushed. And again, it takes a lot longer to make. And they doubled down on that future. But like Jonathan Blow said, right? Because it takes so long to make a game, you run the risk of the game that you're currently making kind of being out of date in a sense by the time that it actually comes out. And that's a problem that every studio runs the risk of now. Not just Sony, everybody. It's because everything takes forever now. That's why most of AAA feels very samey and safe, because it's, well, pretty much impossible to try to figure out how the game's landscape will even look like.
Perfection is unattainable.
Games. Why would we still have like hero shooters and stuff coming out when people have already moved on, right? It's just kind of better, I guess, in their minds to keep it safe, but this also doesn't move the medium forward. Unfortunately, the things that people don't want to see more of, like female protagonists just being pretty much everywhere, also runs that same risk. Because what started off as maybe as a novel idea, it has now become annoying, but it took so long to get made, what ends up happening happens. Like for example, right, look at Jean Grey here in the new Wolverine game. She's a middle-aged woman with a boring jacket, with boring hair and a boring face. There's nothing unique here at all. I don't know how this is supposed to resonate with X-Men fans at all. Everything that makes Jean Grey cool has kind of been sanded off by Insomniac here, and now she just looks like a random woman pushing 50 instead of what, you know, Jean Grey should probably look like. Weirdly, however, this issue never really happened with games made by these developers. I mean, look at Jean Grey and Marvel Rivals, for example, right? She looks lethal and lively and actually like a character, and this ties into another background of Alpha, which is that a lot of people like Canada Norms and Alpha himself looks like Rebel on gold, but also sort of not exactly like her Like, here's a photo of Deborah Ann Wood, right? She plays Lao Fei. Yeah, she's beautiful. No issue whatsoever with her being or anything like that. I I had no issue with her being in the God of War Ragnarok game and stuff too. I was actually surprised when I saw it. I'm like, oh, it's Deborah Ann Woll. That's great. However, when you look at Lara in this game, it seems, I don't know, almost as if they like aged Deborah up from where she was. That kind of makes sense. As if the character looking like their actor is somehow bad for life. When it comes to, say, Deborah Wilson, when she's playing the character in fantasy, it's melodic character, it's suddenly like, oh yeah, no, we totally have the power to make every character that Deborah Wilson plays is just like her no matter what. But when it comes to Laufey, you need to like age her up and make her look bigger for some reason. But it's also weird to see here, this is Laufey's actor in Ragnarok, and honestly they nailed her design in that game. They captured the beauty of Deborah Ann Woll. Like, it seems like it's being done by designers. Again, either way, no one is calling Laufey's actor ugly. That's lying there. More so the usual reason of how beautiful women actually look in real life, because we have to challenge the male gaze or something. Dating women that look like their face model or actors are always a good idea. Look at the recent Resident Evil games, okay? Grace Ashcroft and Requiem's face model looks exactly like how Grace looks in the game, as you can see here. Like, that's like a one-to-one. It's really weird how these game developers almost go out of their way to ensure that if they do use a face mask, male or female, they always ensure that the beauty of that face model is captured perfectly. I mean, Kojima proved this also in Metal Gear Solid 4. What you're seeing here with the Beast of the Beast Boy, like, even almost 20 years ago, on the PS3, he's still able to capture every single face model to the T. But I guess, yeah, it was a different time. Now it's someone clip this! It's kind of so we have to figure out with something. This just feels weird, right? Like, here, I'll let a female user say it so that it makes more sense. As this Joelle lady said, please shut up. No one is calling the actress ugly. People are dissatisfied with the character
so much to
game
do
because it looks like an alcoholic version of the actress. Kind of that, yeah. And I mean, there's another unfortunate pattern that is emerging when it comes to a lot of the current upcoming Sony first-party games too, which is that people are just unhappy about what's coming. I mean, here, look at this like-to-dislike ratio on Horizon Hunter's Gathering in Marathon Season 2, and you are noticing a pattern that is forming. The dislike ratio is abysmal, like really, really bad. Of course, people will say, well, it's the online chuds, but is it really? I mean, if the broader Sony fan base really was loving these surely these ratios would be much more positive than they are, right? These are like first-time trailers for all these games too. It just seems like to me, anyways, that what Sony is making these days is at direct odds with what the players want these days too. I think another big problem plaguing Sony is that they kind of did this to themselves over time. I mean, look at this article from 2016 where Sony confirms that they moved their studio offices to California of all places 10 whole years ago. And if you start to compare what Sony's first-party games started prioritizing around 2020 onward, it kind of became clear that the main studio office for Sony, which is obviously situated in a very liberal and progressive-like place in America, is going to have a bigger effect on their franchises than maybe they would like to admit. Because it can't be a coincidence that you move to California, of all places, the heart of Hollywood, right, where a lot of out-of-touch people, like actors for example, are constantly yelling at the common man and calls them bigots or whatever they want to do, and they're not starting to see the connection here. Is it really any wonder that they moved there and immediately everything started turning into, well, what it is now? No, not really, but am I disappointed about it? Yeah, absolutely. Because if it were one time, like one female character here or there, okay, maybe, right? But it is happening to a point where people are just reaching their limit. I mean, this is even leading to online fights we never even thought possible. Like, of all things, here's Domino's Pizza, I'm not even kidding, making fun of Laufey, where they said this: God of War game with no Kratos is equal to pepperoni passion with no pepperoni. And then Sony Santa Monica even responded with, okay, thanks for the feedback, Domino's Pizza corporate account. And the comments are just people kind of laughing about how absurd this is, that it's gone so badly that Domino's Pizza, of all things, is looking at this and going, this is not good, like, what's going on? One user tried to claim the backlash towards Laufey is thinly veiled misogyny, where they said this: women have spent their whole lives playing male characters without complaint. Give you one female protagonist and you cry like babies, so pathetic. Except, you know that's not true, because that's a straw man argument, isn't it? You say that women have played male lead games and not complained, but men have also done this too. Men have played many franchises that star women women, and never once did male gamers really push or complain, saying that these female-led franchises should be replaced by male teams instead. No, a lot of men, guys watching this video right now, according to Rare, they never once thought to themselves, Resident Evil needs to star like women. No, we have no issue with female heroes in franchises that had them from the beginning, or in like Tomb Raider, Bayonetta, Stellar Blade. I've never seen a single guy complain, for example, that Metroid stars Samus. And actually, I think if Metroid suddenly decided to star a man, even the real gamers would go, why would you do that? Because we like Samus, woman or not. We don't want to play as some random guy bounty hunter in that series. We want to be Samus. The thing is that while female gamers might think that they're going to feel better already, really not, because they've been, whether they want to admit it, catered to their entire lives with franchises specifically built for them. Movies, entire genres, plenty of TV shows, songs, you name it. All categorically created to cater specifically to what women want, and that's fine. No man walks into like a Victoria's Secret and goes, wow, lots of lingerie in here, but where's the speaker? How dare they? No, we don't do that. Of course not. As men, we accept it. Yeah, women keep their spaces. They want their own store. They need their cute little brunch places to go with their girlfriends. No problem at all. We understand. Guys have been nothing but accommodating when it comes to literally anything. Guys want girls in their spaces. When a girl shows interest in something you enjoy, like by sport or a game or whatever, you're over the moon about it. Great. And when it's on the flip side, men are just not allowed to really have too much power these days, and these girls know that. You're saying last now you play with them. They're complaining. You're the basement brother and Charles Luther to think otherwise. Oh, you like to go to sushi? No, you gotta play the army or the basic revenge story with that. You don't like that? You're a misogynist. Even when it came to Spider-Man, people were like unanimous. You don't want to play as Mary Jane. We don't hate Mary Jane. We love Mary Jane. We know what we want to play Spider-Man, right? We don't want to play Spider-Man. And what did your dad do with the feedback to Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2? Oh, you guys hated playing as Mary Jane? Too bad. Here's more Mary Jane missions. Also, you can play as a deaf girl who spray paints walls. What are we doing? It's just exhausting from the perspective of a man who wants things that he enjoys and loves to be respected, to see every avenue and hobby or whatever that is being co-opted and forced to fit something that it was never meant to be, and that's the problem. Nobody hates Aloy. We understand why she matters to the story. The core reason why we cared and bought God of War 2018 really Quantum at all was because we got Kratos. We all wanted to see what happened to him post-Apocalypse. Now Kratos was living after everything he did, and that's why the moment in the 2018 game when Kratos goes back to his home when Atreus is sick and he picks up his blades of chaos from like underneath the home, it's so poignant, wasn't it? How Kratos tells the ghost of Athena that he is no longer her monster, he's his own man now, and then he rages out with the blades and he's taking out all these frozen enemies.
I will leave
it's something that could only exist and mean the way that it did because of the legacy of the character that's doing it. Every man watching this has felt anger or sadness and betrayal to some degree, and we resonate with Kratos because he's a man who made bad decisions, but is trying to do better. Even if he does give in to his own violent nature by, smashing a giant with a giant piece of rock or something from time to time, but that's besides the point. That's a character, right, that many male players resonate with. We want to see more of Kratos because that's how we like it. The same way I don't want to see other male characters
Perhaps I should focus
like
my
when
cosmic
Wolverine
power
is replaced with X-23 or Black Panther is now Shuri. People don't really want that. They'll say, oh, but the franchise or like the superhero or whatever is a mantle. But is it really? Wolverine is Wolverine because of Logan. That's why people care about it. Black Panther, I guess, is a mantle, but the only reason why anybody cares about the character is because it's T'Challa. God of War is cool because of Kratos. You can't just wrap the blades of chaos on somebody else's door. Those weapons matter because of Kratos, but blades represent his bondage, right? The history, his failure to his wife and his daughter Goliath. We understand that with death. We know the Leviathan has been made to Kratos to defend himself in this new world, but he found himself. None of that is bad. All we're saying is that if we are meant to expect it to respect the legacy or born again! just expect to see it done with the franchises that we love too. And the fact that this is seen as problematic or loser behavior is exactly why you're getting this result. I love that Tomb Raider Stars Lost Cloud. I love that Metroid is centers around story. I know that's too heavily plays, let's say, Zelda, and just turn Zelda into like a prince over a princess. I don't want Tifa in Final Fantasy VII to suddenly become some guy. No, I like Tifa, I like Aerith because they're female characters. They're cool. I love Yuffie. I love Rinoa in Final Fantasy VIII. I love Yuna in Final Fantasy X. I love Fran in Final Fantasy XII. I love these characters because they're women, they're feminine. That's what makes them cool. I love Liara and Tali in Mass Effect because of their personalities and who they are, their femininity. It shines into and defines who they are as characters. The same way that Triss Merigold or Yennefer or Venergold do in the Witcher games too, right? I don't want to see Yennefer. No, I don't want Ciri to become a man either. I like Ciri. I like Geralt and who he is too. I like these characters because they are more than just their gender, sure, but their genders are still really a part of who they are. So why is it problematic to look at Lao Fei and go, this might not be what people really want? It doesn't mean it's not what people want. It's just watch a lot of war games, I understand it. I mean, let's be real. If you just put a Wonder Woman skin over the Lao Fei game, that's basically a Wonder Woman game without the license. Are you kidding? But the point still stands that we play God of War because of Kratos. We were told that we needed to respect women's fantasy. We have done that for so long, yet that same level of respect is never reciprocated the other way around. You really can't deny that because you know that it's true. Nobody's here saying Horizon's fun, but anything's fun that you made a big strong man. No, we understand. Horizon is a little story that's fun. But why can't we have the same level of respect when it comes to the men want to? One comment on that post about men being misogynist over this game says this, you can read here, men really are the weaker sex. They need to have everything for them all the time or they cry. It's fascinating really how patriarchy is able to last this long. Their egos are like fragile little baby birds. That is interesting that you say that. Consider it. Whenever a woman doesn't get what she wants, it's usually the women who complain, cry, so their demands are catered to. Yes, it's really never the other way around. And again, this whole backlash is also from the other side, a way for them to maneuver towards men. Saying that men are weaker, that's ridiculous. Society exists because of men. Your buildings stand because men work. Your internet works. Your water in your homes flow. Your electricity runs because men are doing their job. Women never usually want to. They don't do this. The level that men do them, come on. I think the average feminist has become so disillusioned and comfortable in their own little bubbles of comfort while benefiting from the tireless work and inventions that have been created by men already. So forgotten how, without the men that they hate so much, they would have nothing to do for their lives every single day instead of everything around. Like, I don't know how you can say you hate men. Your fathers let you break their backs for advising you as a child. Men drive trucks overwhelmingly so. Now that you run the stores that you go to for your convenience. Even the planes that you ride to set people on Instagram pictures your dating profiles are flown by men mostly who spend hours learning how to operate the machines and design them and upkeep them so you can fly.
Nowhere yet. Going to overtime.
It's not the wheels that the cars are like on. Those are all designed by men. The roads are paved by men in the sweltering, thankless heat. The very apps you complain about and say you hate men, like Twitter or even Instagram or whatever. Like, they wouldn't even exist if men didn't come together to build a platform that you are even using right now to your benefit. Everything is largely designed by and created and kept alive by men. I'm not saying that women are useless or they didn't have a hand in any of this existing. But to claim that the world would be better off if men never existed, inventions that men created would never exist, can we be honest? We'd all be living in caves, like to this day, rubbing twigs together to stay warm at night while, like, God knows what's outside is hunting us. Every modern luxury and benefit that this world has seen has largely been created by men. It can't be denied, and it's not a misogynistic thing to say. The only reason why people can't just walk into your home whenever they want to is because a man design the locks on your doors. The windows in your home lock because men designed that to the furniture you're sitting on. The phone or the computer that you're watching this on, like, or TV, whatever. I hate this anti-men commentary because it's like, we do so much, men. Like, in my real life, I am responsible to keep myself well, my fridge full, my bills paid, I take care of my mom, I take care of my dogs, I buy anything and everything most of the time, even with my girlfriend, right? I go in above and beyond to ensure the people in my life are safe and comfortable, right? And I don't ask for, like, thanks or anything, I just do it because I'm a guy. Like, that's just how it is. And it feels like no matter what you do as a man, no matter how much sacrifice you make or financial taxes you do, you're just evil or bad apparently if you're a man. I'm somehow this awful evil man because, oh no, he wants this because he project the time and money to spend on it. How dare he want it? Like, there's so many guys watching this right now and they can relate because I consider myself a full-time guy too. They expect so much out of us already. We all need to shake the heavens and the earth, right? Every single day to make something out of ourselves. We only matter as much as we can provide or something we can. And you have people like these people online, right? They just go out into the world and you get rocked out even because you're a man. How evil is that? And then the media that gets paid directly reinforces this mentality, like stuff like God of War or whichever franchise was never meant for you in the first place. Because everything you love has to be replaced, and you will just accept it, or you're the problem now. It's tiring because I know how hard so many men work. Right? Like when my dad was alive, dude, the amount of hours that guy would put in every single day to work, it was totally ridiculous. Sometimes never even appreciated it, but he did it anyways. And you look at the world around you, you see how men just made everything work. And when it comes to relaxing and enjoying something they want to like, oh, can't have that. No, that's a problem now. You have to play the girl in your game. You say no, you're evil. No, we're not evil. We respect what women have wanted in every facet of their lives, their entire time on this earth. We never told women they can't have their own stores or make their brand or the music they like, nothing like that. Step outside of this little box these people think that you should live in, will suddenly treat you like you're the Antichrist. And for a world that apparently believes that respect should be universal, it's very clearly respect never actually just that. I respect my girlfriend. I don't mind if she goes in front of your girlfriend. I walk around Sephora with her even though I have no idea what any of that stuff in that store is. And I'm not saying my girlfriend is anti-man. She isn't that. But there's so much of this male hatred just brewing and spewing all over social media. It's literally everywhere. And it's inevitably just making its way into every facet of entertainment. And yeah, I do find that disgusting. I do. I'm not going to pretend that all of these franchises being ripped away from the male players. There's no way that this is the case. Again, even the guy who made God of War looked at Loudface and went, what even is this? It's like when we ask to expand these worlds and acting like this, and the main focus is never that. It's instead just replacement. Sony PlayStation as a whole feels like they're not really interested in giving people what they want anymore because some feminists told them they can't have it. Games that actually respect our investment in time. I mean, fans have seen this story before, right? A beloved character becomes enormously successful like a Kratos. Well, for the attention, we gotta shift it now towards a successor character and replace it. So alternate leads. That's like every Sony game. An audience in the game. If they expect it, the transition automatically. But the problem is that transition only works if it feels natural, right? It feels earned. When fans genuinely want that, that's really the key. You can't simply manufacture audience attachment to something through marketing, even if that is what a lot of players do. Players are the ones who decide when they connect to it. They're not the executives who decide on the players. Going to overtime. God of War character. People didn't even want to play as a choice despite them being Kratos' son, right? The only logical character that people wanted to play as was Thor best. And again, even if a Thor didn't exist, playing God of War would be wrong too. Like, even if we took Sekhmet, that's the Egyptian god in the Laufey gameplay demo that you're looking at, let's just say for